Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Samitha and I'm currently a freshman studying at the University of Michigan, and I just finished my first semester here and it's been a crazy busy semester with a lot of fun experiences, good and bad. So I kind of want to do like a quick recap of my first semester here in the forms of a pros and cons video at UMICH to kind of just share things that I was maybe surprised by or things that people wouldn't know off the top of their head when looking at a school at Michigan. So hopefully this video would provide a little bit more information as to what to expect when you're a student here, if you're looking to go here, or maybe you really don't care and you just are bored and just scrolling through YouTube. Either one works, but let's get into it. So the first pro I would list for the University of Michigan is probably the academics, which is kind of basic and what most people think of when they choose to go to a school like Michigan. One thing that I really do appreciate about Michigan though is that it's well-rounded in like every single academic department. So like it doesn't matter if you're like an engineer or a lawyer, a business student or pre-med, like you're going to be in good hands because most of the programs here are ranked in the top 10, 15 in the country, which is really nice because like say that you're in high school and you're not entirely sure about what you want to go into or what your major is going to be. Like, you know, if you go to a school like here and you decide to like change your mind at the last minute, like you'll still be in good hands no matter what. Also, the professors here have been really good. I know that there's going to be like good and bad professors no matter where you go, but just personally speaking, for my first semester here, I've had really incredible professors that have been super passionate about, you know, their field of study, and they have PhDs, they're very qualified, they do their own like research, and they've just been like really great. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, and I would definitely list that as a pro for Michigan. So the second pro I would list for Michigan is definitely just the reputation, the alumni network. I feel like the reputation just goes hand in hand with the academics, which I just talked about, and definitely if you were to put U of M on your resume, a lot of hiring managers at companies would definitely recognize that and kind of maybe view you in a better light. But the alumni network is definitely a strong point for Michigan because we have a large undergraduate class size. I think it's about like 30 to 35,000, and if you do that plus like the number of years that Michigan has been around for, and like you just do the math, like we have like a very big alumni base, which again could be very helpful for like reaching out for jobs. And I feel like it's kind of nice to just have that network around the world. I remember one time I was literally in California and like my brother was wearing a Michigan shirt, and like some random stranger just went up to him and said "Go Blue," which was great because it's like it just shows that there's like people at UMICH around the world no matter what, which is kind of nice to have. So that's definitely a second pro I would say for Michigan. Another pro I would list is definitely just like the large undergraduate class body we have at Michigan. You could view this as either a good thing or a bad thing. It really just depends on who you are and what you like. I personally view this as a positive thing, especially because my high school was really large. There was like 6,000 people in it, so I knew that like going into college, I definitely wanted to go to a place that was larger than my high school. So that's why I view this as a pro. And also when you have a larger class size, it means that there's going to be like a more diverse array of clubs, which we definitely have. Like we have so many unique clubs on campus. Like we have a squirrel feeding club and an anti-squirrel feeding club, which I totally get because like the squirrel feeding club has definitely gone out of control this semester because the squirrels do not look in good shape. But that just goes to show that like if you like there's going to be so many different clubs. So if you have like even like the weirdest interests ever, like you'll probably find some club already there for it. And also it's just nice because it's like if there's going to be more people in your class size, you're going to be more likely to meet your group of people and people that kind of align with your interests and values, which is really nice. And also it's kind of just interesting to like meet new people like in random places where you're not going to a college where everyone knows each other. So I would definitely list that as another pro for Michigan. Another pro I would list here is definitely just like the campus buildings. I think they're really pretty and the architecture here is pretty good. Some of my personal favorites are like the Law Building, Ross, School of Kinesiology. They're just aesthetic. So like when I walk through the law quad, I just romanticize my life and it's pretty, it's nice to look at. But also they have so many study spots on campus, which is great because I like cannot study in my dorm. I never get any work in my dorm. I like rarely ever stay here actually. So I personally like to work in like absolute pitch silence, and there's going to be spots on campus like the study lounge at the Union or like the Ugly where there's like so many study spots for you to work in. But I think that's definitely a pro, and a lot of people use it because a lot of people just study, which makes sense, but I would definitely list that as another pro. Another pro I would list for Michigan, which honestly I was surprised by, is how social of a school Michigan is. There's like, especially in the fall, there's always so many like parties and frats and like bars going on, and it's just like crazy, especially with like football games and like tailgating. Like the fall semester is literally just crazy. Like Thursday nights and onwards, like the streets of Michigan just get filled up, and I guess it's a good thing because it's like if you like going out, then this is great. But sometimes, like, I'm in my dorm until like 2 or 3 in the morning trying to sleep, but I can't because like the streets are absolutely wild. But I was just taken aback about how social of a school this is, which is nice because I feel like it just goes to like say that Michigan is like pretty much like a work hard, play hard school where people like they study and they do the work and then they just like go crazy on the weekends and then just go back to studying. So that's definitely kind of the culture I've noticed here at Michigan, is that people really do value their social life, but they also study hard. So it's definitely just like a combination of the two. People really like to keep themselves busy here. The next pro I would list is definitely the research opportunities at Michigan. I probably can't speak the best to this specific pro because I'm not doing one, but I definitely know like a couple people doing it and they really like it. So basically, I mean, it's always good to just have experience in your field and working with really well established professors to do more work, especially if you're kind of like a STEM student. And also Michigan has UROP, which I think stands for like Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. But essentially like this is where you get to like just do research in a specific field of your choice. And what's really nice about UROP is that you can actually get compensated. So you can either get paid through UROP or you can have it count towards your credit hours. So it's kind of like another class. So that's kind of nice because you're definitely putting like in like a lot of work into this research program, but you're also getting compensated in like some way, shape, or form. So it's definitely nice to like kind of branch out of like the typical classes and kind of do some hands-on work into your field to kind of get a better understanding of kind of what career path you like to go into in the future. Another pro I would list is just Ann Arbor and like the town that Michigan is in. So I think Ann Arbor is a great college town to be in. I think it was like ranked as one of like the top college towns in America, and I grew up like 25 minutes away from Ann Arbor, so I've kind of like grown up like knowing what it was, and I've always loved Ann Arbor. And I think it's great because it's not like a city, so it's not like really crowded and stuff, but at the same time it's also not like rural like a suburbs. It's kind of like somewhere in between where there's like a lot of like nice restaurants and like places and shops to like travel around, and there's always something to do there. So I think that for me is a pro. Some people want to be in a city, and in that case that's not what Ann Arbor is, but I think overall it's like a really safe place to be, and I think it's like a friendly town. And yeah, I definitely do love Ann Arbor. I would definitely say another big pro is just the people here and the culture here. Yes, Michigan is like a hard school, but at the end of the day, I feel like people are just like helping each other and rooting for each other to succeed, and not necessarily like stabbing each other in the backs and like preying on each other's downfalls. I feel like we're just a community and like we're in it together, and people are just nice overall. So that's definitely like a really nice culture to be a part of. And I also feel like the school spirit and then the athletics are just like great here as well. So if you're into watching football, then you probably know about Michigan already and how they're in the Big Ten, and there's like the Big House, which is like one of the largest football stadiums in America. I actually don't watch a lot of football, but I still like go to some of the games just because I feel like the school spirit just like radiates so much in the Big House, and I feel like it just brings everyone together as a community, and we're all in it together, and it's just like kind of a nice place to be a part of for Michigan. So now moving on over to the cons. The biggest con, or one of the biggest cons I would say about Michigan, which you're probably expecting, is just the weather overall. Especially in the winter, it gets snowy, rainy, cloudy, gloomy, all like the worst possible weather conditions ever, and that definitely makes it less pleasant to be in, especially just walking outside. But I think one of the main things people don't talk about when they talk about the weather is just like the side effects, because seasonal depression is definitely a thing. So definitely when it's winter, it gets a little bit more hard to focus and stay motivated and like just stay on top of things, and it gets a little bit rough. But that's just one of the side effects from the weather. Like, I honestly don't mind the cold as much as I do the actual, like, effects that I get from it being gloomy and not as sunny outside. So I still feel like a big con to think about when you think about Michigan and coming over here. The second con, I would say, it's the tuition, especially if you're out of state. I'm in state, so I got a little bit lucky with my tuition. It's definitely lower and a cost that is, like, kind of decent. But out of state tuition is, like, I think insane, and it just, like, literally like blows my mind when like I talk to like some of my friends who are out of state and like they tell me how much they're paying, and it seems like absurd. And I'm not sure how well Michigan does with financial aid, and I definitely think it's on the pricier end in terms of like out of state public universities. So tuition is definitely one thing to consider when you think about coming here, especially if you're out of state or an international student. Another thing that was definitely like a really big con for me that I wasn't expecting it to be is the dining halls, and I wasn't expecting the dining halls to be so flippin' bad. Like, I just don't like it at all. Like, some people might like it, and it depends on who you are. I just personally didn't like it. I know like some people are like scared of like freshman 15 when they're like moving into college. I was here to freshman minus 15, okay? Because I like was losing weight when I got here because I just didn't want to eat the food that was in the dining halls, and like I've heard of like people getting food poisoning from like the scrambled eggs, and like sometimes the chicken is like pink and gray and like so unappetizing, and like I just feel like overall like just some of the options aren't the best. Then again, it also depends on like what dining halls you go to. Like some are better than others. I just like feel like overall it's atrocious. I feel like that's a strong word to say, but I just didn't like it at all. But it really is up to you. There's some times where I just choose to like stay in my dorm and just open like a box of Kraft mac and cheese and to like actually go to the dining halls and eat. But that was definitely like one really big con that I didn't expect it to be a con, but it definitely wasn't something that I really liked at Michigan. Another really significant con was it's definitely like the club culture at Michigan, especially within Ross, since I'm a business student. Like a lot of the consulting, finance, and business frats are like extremely competitive to get into. I was interested in going into finance, so my fall semester I just applied to like a bunch of finance clubs, and like I honestly could make like a whole nother video on this, but like it was just a really really difficult and stressful experience because it's like I was going to all these like recruiting meetings, and like I had 2 rounds of interviews, and like it was just stressful overall. I mean, it worked out. Like once you get into the clubs, like it's a really nice community to be part of, and it's a really great network to have, and they foster a lot of skills in that career field, which is nice. But I feel like just overall it kind of builds just like this toxic community and environment where people are trying to compete with one another to get into these clubs, and it's not like the most friendliest environment out there, and it definitely is like very stressful to think about. But that is definitely like a con for Michigan. My next con is honestly just tailored to like engineering students, but like I feel like North Campus, so Michigan pretty much has Central Campus and North Campus, and Central Campus is like pretty much where like everything takes place, and then North Campus is where like all the engineering classes take place, and North Campus is like so far away from Central that you have to use like the busing system, which is like really confusing, which is also another con. But like I feel like for me, like I'm not an engineering student, but I'm doing a CS minor, so I do have to go to North Campus for like labs and stuff, and I feel like it's just really out of the way and inconvenient. And also not to mention some of the dorms are in North Campus too, so I know a couple of friends that live in North, but they aren't even engineering students, so they have to kind of like go out of their way to like take the bus every single morning to and from their dorm just to get to class. And I feel like that is just inconvenient overall, which is the fact that there's just a different campus that's like separated from like literally everything else like takes place in Central. So that's honestly probably like the last con I just have for Michigan overall. So that essentially wraps up my videos for like the pros and cons I've seen here at the University of Michigan. Take this video with a grain of salt because my experiences might be different than someone else's, and I've only been here for 1 semester, so maybe I really don't know everything. That's just like stuff that I've seen so far that I've been here. And also at the end of the day, like your college experience is going to be what you make of it. So if you have to go out and actively like make friends and like try to find new things, and like just don't let these like videos like derail you from applying or attending a university, because a lot of times you have to go and seek after what you want, and a lot of times you can cultivate your own ideal college experience. And I know some people that like college better than high school, which I personally like college a lot better than high school, and some people like high school better than college. So like every person is different, so don't like take everything I say to heart and just let it completely like take over your mind on like what to do in terms of attending a school. But I hope this did provide a little bit more insight and more information on what to expect as a student here at the University of Michigan. And I hope you guys have a good day, good semester, and I'll see you guys in the next video.